we've got some polling this week out of Ohio in both the Senate and the governor's race.
We do.
That is a bit of a surprise, and not in a bad way.
Not in a bad way. Who do we want to do first? Ohio?
Yeah, let's do Ohio.
Let's see. So this is Acton Ramaswamy. I do want to say this Fox News poll, I believe, is registered voters. So I keep that in mind as a caveat. Registered voter polls are not necessarily as accurate as likely voter polls, but this still tells you that I think, the Ohio governor's race is, as described, a dead heat. I think given the environment, Ramaswamy has more disadvantages than advantages.
Yeah.
This will be a very.
I think Acton's running a good campaign too.
Right. Yeah.
She's running a campaign centered on the economy, and Ramaswamy is running a campaign centered on just wait for the miracle. Here it comes.
Right. Yeah. And traditional values. And
yeah, right.
Whatever that means. Yeah, I think you are seeing a trend among Democrats who are starting to kind of get how to win elections in the post-Biden era. I think we saw that in the specials last year, and I think we're seeing it in these primaries as well. You saw it with Mom Donnie, you saw it with Spanberger, and there does seem to be a refinement of the campaigning skill for these Democrats. It does seem to be getting slightly better. I don't think the same can be said necessarily for the party at the top, but these campaigns do seem to be well run, and they do seem to understand that the messaging has to be around the economy and affordability.
And I will say this also: in Ohio, there was a presumption inside the GOP that it was, again, the same mistake I warned Democrats about making, the Republicans had made in Ohio. They presumed that Ohio was permanently red, that they didn't have to keep doing the work, because there was a very long-running thread of Republican politics in Ohio, from Kasich to DeWine, that built out the legislative infrastructure. You had a couple of governors who were popular when they were governor for I think Kasich was a 3-termer. I think DeWine is a 3-termer. Yeah. So, you've got our 2-termer. By the way, one of the craziest campaigns I ever did was in Ohio. It was a congressional race for a guy named Martin Hoke. And the ad we filmed was people playing poker in a smoke-filled room, and it devolved into a giant actual poker game. And it devolved into people losing their minds with each other over losing money at poker. My camera crew was like, I was like, finally, like, leave. Just get the fuck out of here. Anyway, it was crazy story.
That is nuts. I think we have some Ohio or Iowa polling as well.
Let's pull up that Iowa stuff, because that's a state where there's a lot of optimism right now.
Iowa, are you there?
We have Iowa.
I thought we had Iowa. Oh,
there we go.
We do. So this is actually a race I'm very interested in. So the Republican primary.
You were a Feenstra obsessive.
So the Republican primary was interesting. Feenstra lost, and I think there's a few reasons why. And I think it actually says more about 2028 than it does about 2026. So
say more.
Feenstra is the product of a Trump-motivated ousting of an incumbent. So he did not endorse in the Republican primary that Feenstra had against Steve King in 2020. But Steve King was viewed by Trump and framed by Trump as insufficiently loyal.
Yep.
And the other incumbents that he has notably ousted this year, like Congressman Massey and John Cornyn, I think are the same sort of mold as Steve King was. So fast forward to 2024, Feenstra is losing he's losing in these counties that he has his base in. So like Sioux County, which is his home county, and it's a large part of his base of support. But he's being outrun significantly by Lon in these counties that Steve King won in 2020.
Oh, and Steve King was out front on this.
Yeah, he was. He endorsed Lon. He did not like Feenstra. It was a bitter primary in 2020. And Lon was also making sort of a more of a Maha appeal. So this race is shaping out to be somewhat different from. It's not a Democrat versus a MAGA necessarily. I think Lon is still in the universe of MAGA, but he's not. He's more in the mold of some of these health nut people. I don't even know how to put it.
Yeah. So somebody said the other day, and I have not been able to run it down, that Lon is in like the sex toy business or something. On the side.
Yeah.
What is that about?
Yeah. Feenstra tried to use that against him in the primary. I think he was invested in some sex toy company. Don't quote me on that because it's something lewd like that. Though.
Can you imagine what Fox would do if a Democratic candidate was invested in a sex toy company? Dildo Democrat, liberal extremists. Do we need a sex toy merchant of doom?
Oh my God, sex toy merchant of doom. Oh, my new Counter-Strike name.
Oh God.
Yeah. No, I'm sure that would have caused heads to explode, but of course they'll support him. And that does make this race, I think, a little more. I think it makes the race closer, actually, because Lon has a slightly broader appeal compared to Feenstra, who's really just has a MAGA appeal.
Yeah, but I will say Sand is a terrific candidate.
Sand is that's going to be the issue for Republicans here. Sand is a great candidate. He's a great fundraiser. He was before the primaries. He was leading in fundraising in both Democrats and Republicans who are running in primaries for the Iowa governor's race. So I think he is a very promising candidate, and I feel very confident about that race. And the polling, that is a much wider margin than what you saw for something like Ohio.
Let's talk for a second about what happens. Also, somebody mentioned Turek, who is the U.S. Senate candidate. Suddenly, he's popping. We've got 3 congressional races there that are looking great for the Democrats. But I want to ask you, what do you see if Iowa swings blue? How do you see that affecting the 2028 Republican and Democratic primaries, which is where the first battle is held, no matter whether we want it or not?
Yeah, I think if it flips blue, I think you're being told something about sort of the middle of the country there, that for the last, I don't know how many cycles has it been that Iowa, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, those sort of middle Midwest states have decided elections or made elections, landslides essentially. I think it's telling you a lot about the future of that part of the country. I don't know necessarily much more than that, but Iowa tends to be a very symbolic place because of its early caucuses. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think we're going to see, by this fall, there will be Republican and Democratic presidential hopefuls who will be going to Iowa to campaign for Lon and Sand and Turek and so on. Sure. There are going to be people out there already trying to make their bones a little bit in Iowa by the end of this year.
Yeah.
Which is going to drive Trump bonkers.
Yeah.
He's going to be so mad about that. He's going to hate that so much. It's not even.
Well, you remember how he pouted during the last Republican primary? Oh, yeah. No debates. He was, they were all losers. He was not going along with that.